We're staged for another run of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, with Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for stopping by our half hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Today we're talking door slammers and two-wheelers. Greg Anderson holds a slight lead in Pro Stock after his victory at Las Vegas, and Eddie Krawiec throws the knockout punch with his Wally win at the Strip. We're in the beams and set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, this is The Straight Line on Drag Racing at MRN.com. My name is Marty Hough here in the MRN studios in North Carolina, and glad you're with us here on MRN.com. As advertised, coming up, we will talk to Eddie Krawiec about his two-wheel win at the Strip, and we'll also talk to Greg Anderson about winning in Pro Stock and heading into Pomona with a slight lead in the championship, heading into the last possible race here in a couple of weeks. Also, the future of Pro Stock and how it's looking a little more bright than it did here maybe just a couple of weeks ago. Also, congratulations to Matt Hagan for winning in the funny car category, and also Terry McMillan getting his first ever Top Fuel Wally, and a huge celebration in Los Angeles for that. We tried to get Terry on the phone to talk to us about that win. Unfortunately, he is busy at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. He, along with everybody else in the motorsports world, seem to be in Las Vegas for the SEMA show. And that's where we find also our co-host here at The Straight Line. He's the four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion, 10-time NHRA national event winner, Doug Herbert. Where do we find you in Las Vegas, Doug?
Well, Marty, good to talk to you guys. Glad I'm on the show. I'm actually sitting here at the Amelie Oil booth. I just got through talking to Terry McMillan. So Terry was so excited, and rightfully so. Really, really, really happy for Terry and his team.
Yeah, and you've gone through that, your first IHRA win and your first NHRA win, so you kind of know what that's like. What is he feeling right now?
Well, he's on top of the world, and, you know, Terry's been racing here for several years, and he's put a lot of effort, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, and for him to bring home that win is amazing. He said he was overwhelmed just even walking through the show with people coming up and congratulating that he didn't even know, and all of a sudden, you know, everybody, he's the hero this week. Everybody wants to talk to him. So
yeah.
Really, really happy for him, proud of him, and getting that first win out of the way is a big thing.
Yeah, no question about that. Let me bring up a couple of topics that were brought up this weekend at Las Vegas. There's so much stuff going on. We'll never get it into a 30-minute show, but I want to hit some of the highlights. First off, in Pro Stock, NHRA has essentially done an about-face on their schedule for Pro Stock next year. A couple of weeks ago, there was a press release out that said that 9 events, there were going to be 8-car fields for Pro Stock. This week, they come out with an announcement saying, no, we're backtracking on that. All 24 events will have 16-car fields. I'm not sure where this comes from, but can you shed a little light on that?
You know, I can't, but I don't have exact knowledge of it, but I know that the pro racers, the PRO, I was on that pro racers board for 15 years with Don Schumacher and Connie Coletta and John Force. Sure. I mean, it's a pretty good group of folks, and I'm guessing that the Pro Stock members of the pro racers board got together and said, hey, you know, what's going on here? We don't like this, and we're going to do something about it. And I'm supposing, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have increased the fields to 16 if the Pro Stock racers hadn't got together and said, hey, we're going to guarantee you that we're going to fill the field. So there's probably going to be some teamwork. There's going to be something happen. I can't imagine that NHRA would have made an about face like that if they weren't fairly certain that they were going to have full fields. Because that mainly what they don't want is they don't want, 2 or 3 singles up there during eliminations. That puts on a bad show. That doesn't make them look good. So I'm guessing that the NHRA Pro Stock racers got together and said, hey, we're going to make sure we've got some more cars out here.
Yeah. Also, John Force is in the news, and probably not in the way that he'd like to be in the news. A couple of different incidents, and I want to get your take on both. On Friday during qualifying, Force I don't know how many times it's happened this year, but it's happened multiple times this year where either at the finish line or past the finish line, Force has crossed the center line into his opponent's lane and thrown the chutes, which obviously the opponent has no idea where they're going.
Yeah, I saw the video. I looked at it several times, and I mean, I'm a big John Force fan, and I love John Force, and always have, always will. But it was really heartbreaking to watch him drive the car into the other lane with the throttle wide open, taking the cones out, and actually driving it into the other lane. And then, I mean, the chutes, I don't know if he had control of that because the chutes are now deployed automatically, which I don't think is the greatest idea in the world. But at any rate, Force did drive the car under power into the other lane in front of, I think it was John Hale. I mean, that was bad. I've got to question Force's judgment. And, we've talked about it on the show a lot. We've talked about it with other drivers. We've talked about it with you. The most important thing about driving one of these cars is knowing when to shut it off. And I tell you what, Force didn't know when to shut it off on that particular run, that's for sure. And I think he'd probably be one to tell you that. But hopefully, I mean, Force is no spring chicken. It's not this is a big news release here, but maybe he's getting to the point where it's not for him anymore. I don't know. He's still great. Obviously, he knows how to win. He's the winningest guy of all time. So he's the only one that can make that decision. But that was disappointing. And then the next day, him racing Robert Height, I'm sure that was the next story you were going to talk to. And he goes up there and gets it out of the groove and shuts it off. And then, he can, are they mad at me when I shut it off? They're mad when I don't shut it off. But I mean, the fact is Force owns both those cars. And I don't know that I disagree with that. I think, it is what it is. And I remember Connie Coletta one time was racing Scott Coletta back in the 90s, and Scott was in contention to win the championship, and Connie went over to the starting line and shut the car off. Staged, did a burnout, backed up, pulled up a little bit, and shut the car off on the starting line. I asked him, I said, "Hey, Conrad, why'd you shut it off?" And he said, "Because it was running." So, he didn't pull any punches. He just said, "Look, I pay for these cars. I'm in charge of this. Scott needs to win. This is a championship implication. And you know what? Too bad, so sad." I don't know. Force would get obviously bashed if he did that too. But I don't know. I mean, that we'll never know. I mean, because what happened to Force against Height, that could happen very well. I mean, he got distracted on the starting line. He got the car out of the groove. Whatever. That is possible. John Force is the only one that knows that. Yeah,
and so right now, in the news for all the wrong reasons, and just wanted to get your take on that. Good luck with all that's happening for you, for breaks, and everything that's happening at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. And we'll see you back here in our Concord, North Carolina studios next week when we talk about Pomona.
I will be back there next week. Looking forward to it. And we had I just went by and saw that 2-seater Top Fuel car that Larry Dixon's doing. And he said that he's got already 7 people wanting to pay him to go for a ride. So
wow!
I can tell you, I am not one of them. if I'm in a Top Fuel car, I want to have the gas pedal under my foot.
Yeah, understand. But I may be number 8. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. Doug, thanks so much for your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, tell our guests congratulations, and I'll be looking forward to the show next week.
Will do. Greg Anderson is on the line. He just heard that. And so when we return, we'll talk to the winner at the Strip. Greg Anderson joins us next.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Driver safety is the #1 priority in racing. It's also the #1 priority in trucking. The Detroit Assurance Suite of safety systems helps to protect drivers, their trucks, and other motorists by helping to mitigate the severity of collisions. Active brake assist, adaptive cruise control, and lane departure warning, all bringing a new level of safety and protection to the road. Don't just want better business solutions, demand them. Learn more at demanddetroit.com.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
It's all a family sport.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Brad Keselowski will win.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
We just have to find the value package that connects a new generation of fans.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, once again, here's Marty Hough.
Appreciate you being with us this afternoon here on MRN.com. And joining us on the guest line right now is the driver of the Summit Racing Equipment Chevy Camaro, the winner at the Strip this weekend in Las Vegas. Greg Anderson joins us. Greg, thanks so much for hanging with us. I know we don't want to keep you too long. You got very valuable time to be spent in the dyno room getting your engine ready to go for Pomona, but thanks for the time. We really appreciate it.
No, you bet. Always great to be on.
I don't think we can understate the importance of the last round win against Bo Butner and the implications that it means going into Pomona.
Yeah, you're right. It was a 40-point swing.
Right.
We would be deadlock tied right now if Bo had won that round. Make a whole different scenario when we go to Pomona, but still, bottom line is 40 points doesn't mean a whole lot at Pomona when you got 30 points around. You got points and a half out there. So to get that win was big, but basically all it comes down to is you got a little over a round advantage on them going out there. So it's still wide open. You're still going to have to have a great race, and I've said it ever since I left the track the other night. That was a great weekend, a great win, but I do feel like I'm going to have to go to Pomona and win that event to be the world champion. It's going to be another knockdown, drag-out brawl, and it's not just Bo. Jason's just slightly back behind him, so I know what kind of equipment they got. Every bit as good as what I got, so it's just going to take a lot of luck.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. So you lead me right into it. What the strategy is coming out of Las Vegas, headed to Pomona, with obviously the last round or the last race of the season is points and a half, 30 rounds, 30 points per round. So your strategy and mindset going in is just, hey, win it and we're good.
Yeah,
right?
You got to go for broke. You absolutely got to be aggressive. You can't be. In this class, the way it is, you sure can't be safe. You sure can't be conservative and just try to withstand a few rounds. I'm telling you right now, if you get fortunate enough to qualify in the top 2 or 3 spots, you may have a slight advantage going into the first round. But by the time you get to second round, it's like every car in the second round going on is within a hundredth of a second. So it's like final round if you make it a second round. So you never know who's going to win each round. You never know who's going to win the race. And for that reason, no idea who's going to win a championship yet.
Yeah, and your strategy you had mentioned it in the press room after the race that your strategy heading in was to not knock yourself out, knowing that there was no way that mathematically you could win a championship at Las Vegas. It was all going to come down to Pomona. So don't do anything foolish and knock yourself out early, right?
Exactly. And you know, obviously you want as much as you can. You want as big a lead as you can. But if you had lost first round out there, you'd be going into Pomona 100 points out. And that's a tall order. You know, even with 30 points around, basically if you lost first round, the other guy wins the race, he can make up 120. But that's the drastic scenario. So anybody going to be within 120 had a shot.
Right.
But, boy, you hate to have to make up that kind of ground in one race.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not an enviable position, that's for sure. Not that there wasn't any good news for you guys. Obviously, you won the race, but some more good news came out of NHRA this weekend and wanted to get your thoughts on it. Basically, an about-face from the NHRA saying, hey, this whole 9-race, 8-car fields thing, forget about it. We're going to go with all 16 for all 24 events. As I understand it, there was a meeting at Dallas during the Dallas race, and we don't need to know any of the details. But can we assume that there was some compromises made between the pro stock people and NHRA?
Yes, absolutely. We did have a very constructive meeting at Dallas. We had another meeting at Vegas, and at least got that part of the discussion settled, where we're going back to 16-car field. The bottom line is there's way more than 8 top-notch cars out there right now. There's a dozen cars that can win any given weekend without even batting an eyelash. So you'd hate to see a 8-car show and all those good cars sitting on the sidelines. So we were able to make them understand that, and we came up with some other ideas and some other thoughts too going forward. To make sure we sustain the car count. You've seen for the last half a dozen races that we've had no trouble getting 16 cars. It seems like this whole controversy, or whatever you want to call it, this new package has got everybody's fire lit again. Everybody's excited to race in pro stock, and I think some of the new thoughts and new ideas we've got going forward, which I can't give exact details on yet. We're still ironing out details, but for the future, absolutely 100% believe this class is going to be stronger than it's ever been. So I'm positive. I'm very positive. I'm excited that we're going back to 16 cars, but I'm even more positive about some of the other adjustments and changes we're going to make to the class. Full confidence that it's going to make NHRA Pro Stock very, very, very popular again and have a great future.
That's great news. Besides what you did on the racetrack, wanted to get your take on Bo Butner's car with the Smokey and the Bandit theme, and Saturday the whole cast and crew from Smokey and the Bandit down in the line. Again, we're talking about making pro stock fun. I mean, they did a pretty good job, but that car was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, wasn't it? He did a good job last year. He was the Dukes of Hazzard car last year, and I don't think anybody forgets that yet.
Yeah.
But he one-upped himself this year with a Smokey and the Bandit car and the cast of characters to go along with it. And the bottom line is, the guy's a great racer, but he likes to have fun. He enjoys life. He likes to have fun, and he's exactly what we need on this race team, because we certainly have tendency to get a little too serious about what's going on out there. And he lightens the mood every race. He has a blast, win, lose, or draw, and it's just a good experience. So we're having a ball racing with him.
Real quick, 90 wins on your career, 6 away from WJ. I know you don't get too much into the numbers, but these are pretty significant numbers once we get past 90. WJ and the all-time leader in pro stock wins right around the corner, and triple digits not too far down the road. I mean, these are really big numbers, Greg. Do you get caught up in that ever?
Not really. It's cool. It's neat to hear a number like that, but as far as looking down the road, I hate to do that, and I've said it before that you never know when your last win's going to be your last win. They're so hard to get anymore. We had a great year last year. We've had a good year this year, but 90 to 100, it's a big, big step. That's a lot of race wins, and they get harder every day, every year. So you never know. I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully one day I can call myself a triple-digit winner. But you know what? Who knows? He may not get 91, but I'm going to keep trying.
All right. The driver of the Summit Racing Equipment Chevy Camaro, winner at the Strip and points leader heading to the last race at Pomona. Greg Anderson, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Good luck at Pomona.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Marty.
Greg Anderson joining us on the straight line. And when we return, the guy who threw the knockout punch at the Strip in Las Vegas in the two-wheelers, Eddie Krawiec, will join us next.
If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights and get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See farther and more clearly with Silver Star headlights at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
MRN's Throwback Thursday, the greatest races in NASCAR history.
Richard Petty comes to the outside of Benny Parsons, and ladies and gentlemen, it will be Richard Petty victorious in the STP Dodge.
Listen Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on MRN.com or the MRN app.
And Dale Earnhardt has won the Daytona 500.
On demand in the MRN.com Media Center or on iTunes and Google Play.
Jeff Gordon wins the Southern 500 and the Winston Noble $5 million bonus.
Throwback Thursday on MRN.com. MRN's Winged Nation on MAV TV.
Rico Abrams in the house. How are you?
Wow, this is great to be on MRN, Winged Nation.
Brian Brown.
You guys do so much Winged Nation in general for our sport. It's awesome. You take us to the next level, and it's just awesome to have such a professional run show that is representing our sport, and something we're real proud of.
Greg Wilson's in the house.
Yeah, and thanks for what you guys do. And shout out to all you fans. You guys make our sport, and thank you.
Saturdays at 8:30 and 11:30 Eastern on MAV TV with Steve Post and Ashley Stremme.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Hough.
Big thanks to Greg Anderson for joining us on The Straight Line. And right now on the guest line with us is the winner in the Pro Stock Bike category, and well beyond, we're just right at the level that he needs to win another NHRA Mellow Yellow Championship. He is Eddie Krawiec. Eddie, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and congratulations on a big win at Las Vegas.
Thanks, Marty. Yeah, that was a huge one going to Vegas and getting the W there. You know, honestly, I had a little bit of lady luck on my side to get there, but you know, nonetheless, it happened, and we managed to capitalize on it in every which way that we could.
You make your own luck a lot of times in this sport, especially when you've won as many times as you have and won as many championships as you have, you and Andrew and everybody over at the in the Harley pits. Do you think that sometimes that you create your own luck a lot of times with the success that you guys have had?
Yeah, I kind of do agree. You know, there's that saying, it's funny, I keep using it, you know, and it was actually my crew chief, Matt, that said it. But, you know, it's basically, you know, you'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah.
Well, you'd rather be good than lucky sometimes, but because you can't get into the situation that we are without being good. So, I mean, yes, you definitely have to be good. You got to have some luck on your side, and sometimes things got to fall your way. But yeah, I think when you have a great motorcycle under you and everybody knows like that you can be there round after round, you know that they're going to have a good reaction time. That is the key, I think, because like you said, you create your own luck sometimes, and they know if they're not better than 30 on the tree or 20 on the tree, they're not going to have a chance. So I try to be that 20 or 30 guy on reaction time, and then that way I know I only leave the guy a hundredth or two wiggle room in front of me, because as long as they know that, it puts the extra pressure on them, not me. So I just try to go out there, do my job, and turn on win lights.
It's uncanny to me, Eddie, that a lot of times when the bike's not there, the driver's there, and when the driver's not there, the bike's there. Do you kind of shake your head sometimes and go, wow, I really had a bad light, but man, my bike was on, or you know, sometimes, boy, I'm glad I cut that 00 whatever light, because this thing, you know, wasn't running well. Both you and Andrew seem to have this uncanny ability to be able to make up for each other, or for the bike, or vice versa.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that, and it's funny the way that works. But for me, the thing is I have the utmost confidence in my whole crew and all my guys that stand behind me and support and tune and do everything. So I always feel the bike is going to be there, and you know, I know when I race, there's probably certain individuals when I race them, I know it's like, okay, I got to get after it here, because if I leave any bit of wiggle room and the bike is not there, then I'm getting beat. So, you know, there's guys. I tell most people, if I go 00 or team against it, don't be mad. That's a sign of respect.
Right. Now, we had you on not long after you guys ended up making some adjustments to your bike. It's well chronicled that you've in the middle of the season at Englishtown, debuted a new bike, came out and kind of struggled with it, and so went back to the drawing board, took some parts and pieces and things necessary to make a new bike from the old bike and kind of combine the two. When you were in the middle of that process, Eddie, were you thinking anything like this, in the success that you guys have had? You laugh.
for I'm going to say, for anybody to think that the amount of success that I've had since Indy is even possible, it sounds stupid. It's like you'd say, there's no way you're going to put that motorcycle together. Out of the next 7 races, you're going to win, potentially 6 of them.
Yeah.
And moving forward, man, no way. I would have said you're crazy. I have a great motorcycle under me. I've had one for years, and but just, you're right, the success that I've had, I honestly don't think anybody in their right mind would think it.
Yeah.
But I knew it's possible. It's capable. I mean, we've had phenomenal runs where we won, obviously back in 2012, winning 15 out of 16 and all that. I mean, it's great. But, man, I'll tell you, I would never have believed I'd have the countdown that I'm having right now. I'm really glad that it is, because I say it, and I say it a lot, usually, like, the way LE season went early on in the middle part of the year. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is get to the countdown and your wheel fall off. Right. You got this locomotive on track screaming 100 miles an hour, and then next thing you know, it derails. So it is. It's kind of just a lucky thing, and sometimes you create your own luck, and other times you just need to be pure lucky, and most of the time you just need to be good. So if without a little luck on your side, I don't think I'd be where I am, but I definitely I have no regrets on the way that this season's gone, and I think we learned a lot, and it made us really a better team by putting a motorcycle on the track that we struggled with, and we are who we are now because of that.
Yeah. With 1.5 points being the rule at Pomona, how does that change things, or how are you approaching the race at Pomona? Because obviously there's more on the line per round.
Well, I'm looking at it as, hopefully when we're done and we're pulling out of there, I'm pulling out of there with 250 points.
Right.
Extra. Honestly, I'm going there to win. I'm going there to hopefully race my teammate in the final. There's always some interesting developments that can happen. But really, I'd love to get my teammate and have him the opportunity to get up to number 2. Whether that can be done or not, I mean, it's tough. There's a great racer right in front of him, being LE, and there's many great racers and motorcycles right behind him. So the category's just stacked right now. It can go any way. So our goal is we'd like to finish 1-2, but I still want to go to Pomona to win. I love going to that track. There's a statistic that has never happened, and I have never won the championship and won the race in the same year. Yeah. It's always I won the championship and lost the race, or I've won the race and lost the championship. So I want to go there and beat all odds. Is the best way to say it.
So he's headed to Pomona with a 150-point lead, and would dearly love to win 2 trophies, one big one and one smaller one, when they're done in a couple of weeks at Pomona. Eddie Krawiec, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the win, and good luck with everything at Pomona.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks for having me on. And as always, you and Doug are a big part of NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing. It's great to be on your show.
Thank you very much. Driver of the Vance & Hines Screaming Eagle Street Rod, that is Eddie Krawiec. And when we return, we'll wrap up another great edition of the show.
O'Reilly. Restore lost fuel economy and eliminate rough idle with Lucas Fuel Injector Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Lucas Fuel Injector Cleaner and get 1 free. Clean clogged injectors and increase fuel efficiency with Lucas Fuel Injector Cleaner. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Winged Nation on MRN.com. Steve Post and Aaron Evernham with the latest sprint car news and interviews with top drivers.
Team owner for 2 of the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car Series, Casey Kane. How are you, man?
Great to be here at Knoxville.
Kyle Larson joining us now. Welcome back to Iowa.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be suiting up here in a few hours.
Tony Stewart's in the house. Hey, man, how are you?
Man, I'm awesome. Having a good time this week.
Winged Nation, Tuesdays at noon Eastern on MRN.com, the MRN app, and Facebook Live.
It's Rob Tanner, host of America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join us every weekend as we get you set for NASCAR racing with 2 hours of the hottest hits in country music. The Motor Racing Network's Woody Kane is here with NASCAR news, and MRN pit reporter Steve Post stopped by to talk a little racing. We'll have features and highlights you can't get anywhere else, so be here each weekend for NASCAR USA on the Motor Racing Network.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Hough.
Big thanks to Greg Anderson and Eddie Krawiec for joining us on this week's show. Real quick, let's take a look at the top fuel standings as we head into Pomona. And how big was the red light by Brittany Force in the final at Las Vegas? She red lights with the opportunity to come even with Steve Torrence heading into Pomona, but she red lights. Terry McMillan gets the win, and Brittany Force will go into Pomona with a 20-point deficit to Steve Torrence. Doug Coletta, sitting at 84 back, is going to have an uphill climb. But again, we mentioned points and a half being very important. And in funny car, Robert Height, Ron Capps, 15 points, championship on the line. Basically a half a round separating the two drivers. This is going to be really interesting. Congratulations to Glenn Cromwell. He is the new NHRA president, and Peter Clifford moves up to CEO. We will talk to you next week here on The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and was brought to you by Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday on MRN.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.